Hey everybody, Kelly here. So, I have been working on so much, I'm not sure I can remember what all I have to show you today. So, I've got my blocks for the Moonbeams Quilt Along from Fat Quarter Shop, their charity quilt along. I've also done block 2 of the Heartfelt charity quilt along from 2022 that I didn't keep up with at the time, but I'm doing now while I do the Moonbeams charity quilt along. So I've got both of those, but I'll show those later on in the video. And I think I've been stitching some bags. I don't think I have. I have been stitching some bags. I'm just not sure that I'll have them done for this video. I've got a couple done, but I wanted to have a bunch of them to show you. So, all right. So what I really planned on doing for this particular video today was actually coming back and doing my second quilt using the scraps that were left from the Vegas strip. The Vegas strip. That's what they're called. I was trying to remember. I was like, from So Yeah's Vegas strips. And what they are approximately 20 to 24 6.5-inch strips rather than doing 42.5s, and it just gives you a much wider strip to utilize very easily. You can cut them down if you want to and make smaller strips. You can just use the whole strip. That first video that I showed, I actually just used the whole strip. In fact, I'm going to pan over and show you that quilt top again. So that was the original quilt top that I made. I haven't quite taken it down and quilted it yet, but that's the first one that I made, and then I had scraps left from that. So I'm going to take those scraps and actually add a 1-yard cut to those scraps and make another quilt top. So I had 20 6.5-inch squares yet left, so I'm going to make them into 4 patches of 4. So I'll have 16 utilized in four patches. So I'll have 4 of those left then for another portion of this quilt. And I had 12 half square triangles out of that particular design that I did. So I will take all of those scraps and let me show you kind of my little mock-up of my plan there. So I'm going to do the 6.5-inch squares in 4 patches, and I'll do 4 of those. And then I'm going to take the 5.5-inch. Did I say 4.5 before? They're 5.5-inch half square triangles. And since there's 12 of them, I can make 3 blocks. And then I'll have 4 total left of the 6.5-inch squares. And so I'll put 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. And then I'm just going to add in sashing and columns, borders, to create a larger size lap quilt. It still won't be a real large size. It'll be between a lap and a throw size. So I'm getting started on that. Just wanted to do a brief introduction. Probably won't necessarily walk you through sewing all the 4 patches together, but I'll come back when I get ready to do the sashing on these. And I believe there's some other things that I'm going to throw in. Like I said, I'll show you my blocks for the Moonbeam quilt along and the Heartfelt not quilt along, because everybody else is done probably. Well, you might be quilting along with me doing a scrappy project or something, or using scraps, I mean. And yeah, and I'll show you my cross stitch, how far I've got on that, and hopefully I've got a couple bags done to show you. All right, and who knows, if it's a really nice spring weekend, I may have just a little bit of what's going on outside. You know, getting a lot of cleanup done and getting, fertilizing trees and all that sort of thing. And chickens are out wandering around trying to eat my flowers already. they're being pretty good. So yeah, letting them run free a bit just because they're not destroying the flower beds too bad. We do have a rabbit that's been destroying one of my flower beds already, so there's that. Probably a lot of wildlife out there that I see deer I work second shift, so when I come home in the middle of the night, I pretty much always see several deer in our front yard. So yeah, as long as they stay in the front yard and don't dart out in front of my car when I'm trying to turn into the driveway. All right, well, I'm going to get to sewing, and I will come back when I've got my blocks ready and I'm doing the sashing. I just caught this as I was starting to sew. So I didn't have 12 half square triangles. I have 10. So I'm going to do 2 blocks with 4 half square triangles, and then the center block I will do using 2 half square triangles, and I'm going to come up with, I'm either going to use 2 pieces from my sashing and border fabric, or I'll just come up with another scrap that I like. All right. I love it when I can't do math. I'm usually better than this, but I must have just thought there were 12 in the pile and didn't really count them. I don't know. It is weird. I swear there's gremlins in this room. Things disappear all the time. It can't possibly just be that I'm cluttered, or that my room is cluttered. This was part of my original plan. 4 12.5-inch squares, surrounded by portions of the 1 yard cut that I had. However, they were going to be wider, and there was going to be a third on the side of these 4 squares. They were all going to be in a line, and I was going to have a third piece from the 1 yard cut here at the side. I hadn't done my math. I hadn't done it at all. I just was like, oh, this is going to work, right? Not going to work. So I'm thinking on the fly here, and I've picked out 2 fat quarters that I think blend with these particular scraps from the Vegas strip roll that I had. And so what I'm actually going to do, I've kind of got it started to be laid out here, but what I'm actually going to do is cut this to the width of a single block, and then I'll cut the bottom one to the width of a single block, and I will create 2 strips. So 1 strip, 2 strips, and I will flank either side of this particular section right here. So this will be in the center, and then a strip on the side, and a strip on the side. And I think I'll probably end up turning one of the rows upside down so that I have 2 different colors on the top and 2 different colors on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and get to sewing that together, and I'll bring you back and show you the finish. Alright, so that's the final quilt top for the spring So yeah, Vegas strip scrappy quilt. I don't know exactly what I'm going to title it, but that's the quilt top finished. I haven't quite got the quilting done, but I'll be working on that this weekend. So a couple other plans for this weekend are actually to work on Sherry McConnell's pattern Together. Sherry McConnell from A Quilting Life. So I have the kit for that pattern. So I'm hoping to get that started this weekend. Probably won't get it done, but I hope to at least get it started. And so that, and quilting that, and I'm stitching things like crazy. So along that line, anybody that doesn't like cross stitch, I want to thank you for watching this far. You're welcome to go ahead, and I'll see you next week. But for those of you that do like cross stitch and like seeing some of the projects, maybe you don't even cross stitch yourself, but you still like seeing the projects. All right, so I do have a few things here, and one of them actually is I won something from Fat Quarter Shop. I was so excited. I love watching Kimberly at Fat Quarter Shop, and they recently had a raffle for some cross stitches that they produced, and they did the raffle to have the proceeds go to Make-A-Wish Foundation. So I actually won one of them, and it's the cutest one, and it's the best one to win if your channel name is The Farm on Highway J. Let me show it here. Isn't that cute? I love it. I love it. So yeah, so that's hanging up downstairs in a special place in my house. They are just darling. Anyhow, so I was so happy about that. I never win anything, and that was really cool. And it was really good of Kimberly and Fat Quarter Shop to do that, to try to raise more funds for Make-A-Wish Foundation. So, also for Make-A-Wish Foundation, I have been participating in this year's charity quilt along, and the stitch alongs as well. And the project this year is Moonbeams. So I'm going to show you a couple of the blocks that I've got done so far. So this was the first, the bird block. And there's actually two of those the same. It'll be one block in the top corner and one block in the bottom corner. So I'll just... And then I also finished release number 2, which Kimberly worked on, I believe, last Friday. And so I think there were 4 blocks for that altogether. Yeah, 4 blocks for that altogether. So I've got that part done. And you'll have to excuse me if some of my points are not perfect. I guarantee you there's at least a couple of them in there. Anyhow. And so I've also been working on the cross stitch for the stitch along for it as well. And this was release number 1 was the frame, and release number 2 was this little section right here. And I just think it's very, very cute. Fat Quarter Shop did it on 14 count Ada, so I did that as well, and this was the called for fabric. But I kind of wish I would have chose some. Kind of wish I would have chose like an 18 or a 22 count Ada. I actually like linen better, but I wanted to keep it simple. I just didn't necessarily realize that it was going to be quite this size. I'm kind of thinking of having my cross stitches be just a little bit smaller, just so it's a little something that I can put out at the same time as I put out the quilt, which I won't display in my house all the time because I'm getting too many of them, kind of a thing, and or I will give it as a gift, that sort of thing, and then maybe I will like the cross stitch to be a little bit larger because I will probably give the quilt as a gift and keep the cross stitch. So, I don't know, we'll see. And that cross stitch actually goes in this bag right here, which is a Lori Holt one, with a little turtle on it actually. I thought the little turtle kind of was the same color as some of the fabric on the bag. So, that, and then I've also been participating in it was the 2022 Quilt Along for Fat Quarter Shop Make-A-Wish charity called Heartfelt, and I never actually got it completed at the time, so I've been working on that now this year and doing those blocks at the same time as I do the Moonbeams quilt. So first one, I think actually the first one was a set of stars and hearts, so there's a whole set of those. Show you a couple of them there. Yeah, so the stars and the heart in the star, I should say. And then there's a whole set of scrappy hearts, and so those were really cute. So I got block 1 and block 2 done for that quilt. Let me try to put them back together here, sorry. And then I have also been working on the stitch along on that, and it lives in this heart bag from Fat Quarter Shop, complete with a tag on it, so that I can put my name on it just in case I take it somewhere and would try to get it, try to get it lost or something. And you saw the back there. I'm not very good at the back. I will clean it up a little bit before I finish it up, but I am not So you see, if you know certain certain cross stitchers, some of them have really nice backs and they're perfectly clean. I'm probably not one of those people that has a perfectly clean back to the cross stitches. But I'm getting better. So I picked up cross stitch when I was probably 8 or 9. I think my mom started me out with a couple of Christmas ornament cross stitches, and so I just kind of taught myself. And that was back in the day when it's literally just little Christmas cross stitches, and you were making X's, period. There were no specialty stitches, nothing like that. Not in my life, anyhow. And so it hasn't been till like the last year or so that I've actually started realizing that I can stitch on other fabrics than Aida, that I can 2/1 cross stitch, that there are specialty stitches, and I'm actually okay at some of them. I was slightly intimidated at first because I thought, well, I've never been taught how to do that or seen anybody make that one or this or that, but just reading some of the patterns sometimes, and now with YouTube I can get on there, and if I know like a Smyrna stitch or just all the other ones, I can look it up, and inevitably there's somebody that can teach you and somebody that can teach me. So I'm getting better at it, but I'm still a little bit of a stitcher that likes to travel. I try not to do it very much, especially not on lighter fabric. Don't do that. I did learn that when I was 8 or 9 years old, making some of those Christmas ornaments, and you travel from here to there, and then red shows through the white. Yeah. So learn that as a kid, and don't do that very, very much unless it's really dark fabric. But yeah, so always still learning. That's the thing. All right, but that's how far I've gotten on Heartfelt, and so I still have more of the frame to do. I think there's another row to get done and finishing off the bottom there, and then just completing all the patches in it. So I will continue on that, and we'll see where we get to. It's going to be a monthly project. I will probably put it away now until May. So all right, and then for the beginning of April here, well, actually this one's for March. This one was for March. So I stitched Hip Hop from, all of a sudden I can't think, was this Hands On Design? Yes, this was Hands On Design. And it is darling. It is so cute. I don't have it totally finished. I may have shown it before, I'm not sure. Last week or so. I finished it and finished the stitching on it anyhow, but I haven't actually done a final finish on it. But I just want to show you real quick what I'm thinking of. So what I'm thinking of is that I will actually finish this on cardboard with some batting to give it a little padding to it, and then I will actually, I'm going to of course trim it down for one thing, or wrap this around the cardboard, and then I'm actually going to attach it onto this form that I found at the dollar store, and just attach it in there. And then next year I'm actually thinking I will probably stitch the little small stitch right here too, that also says Hip Hop. And maybe not that. Maybe I'll just put the little bunny and some of the carrots and some of the little things that are on there. Maybe I'll find a different little pattern and actually put in there. And then I think what I'll do is actually, I've got some artificial flowers to put around it as well. And I think that will be very cute decoration next year. So, of course, it'll look better once I wrap the sides around, and once it's smaller and on a little cardboard, little flat fold kind of thing. So, and it can hang on the wall. It could just set on a table and lean against the wall, that sort of thing. So that is very cute, and I can't wait to do that. Although I might set it aside and just put it with my Easter decorations and actually do the finish next year. Time's getting away from me already this year. So, next pattern. This is something that I started for April because April is my birthday month. And I thought, well, sweet treats, that would be something really fun for my birthday stitch. And it's pretty good size. And it'll be really cute to go on the wall in my kitchen. Well, the problem is, I started stitching it, and I had a good size piece of vintage country mocha. I think it was a 28 count vintage country mocha. And I had taken a chunk out of it already. And so when I started this, I thought, I'm not sure I'm going to have quite enough for both rows on this. And I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and start it anyway. And of course I start in the upper corner with the first block. Because it's a set of 6, it's actually a set of 6 blocks in here inside a frame. So I started with that one. And I very quickly, I stitched the white frame around. And I very quickly realized that I did not have enough length to do the second row. So I thought, well, it's okay. I will just stitch this first one and I'll figure out something to do with it. And so I'm still thinking about what to do with it right now. So I've sewn on the buttons and it's really cute. I love it. I've got so many different ideas, but I'm just not sure which one to go with. So because the buttons are on it, I can't turn it into a hot pad or something like that. Like, I'm thinking like a decorative hot pad, you know, like you just put it on the table, you just put it on the counter and in a certain spot where you maybe, I don't know, maybe once in a while would put a dish on it or something, but not like putting a casserole dish on it and somebody spills something and it gets ruined. Not that sort of thing. But also, I can't do it anyway as a hot pad anyway because of the buttons. So then I thought, well, I could just frame it, put it on the wall. I could make a recipe box out of it. I could put this, like, frame it and have the frame be the top of the recipe box. I don't need a recipe box, and my countertops are pretty full already. It's kind of one of those things where, like, if I keep it for myself, I would have to get rid of something else. And I don't really think I want to get rid of something else, so. But I could keep it for myself and just frame it and put it on the wall. That's easy. I got lots of wall space. That's fine. But the thing is, I still want to stitch the whole thing. So I think I'm going to come up with something that I can give this as a gift. And that is a really cool idea if you know somebody that maybe is just setting up house and they need a recipe box. I think that would be really cute. Or maybe not a recipe box, maybe a box where you also put the cupcake holders inside, put in sprinkles, put in all the things that you would need, or not need, but all the things that you might like when you're making your cupcakes. And that way then you have a cupcake box. Wouldn't that be cool? It would be if I didn't have a gazillion containers and stuff already on my counters, but maybe it will be for some young people that are just setting up house. So, and I don't like even framing it. I would have to frame it without glass, which is fine. I do quite a few of those. But and as I'm holding it up here, I'm thinking you probably can see all the places that I travel to because I don't have anything behind it. So I should have held it up more like that, right? And then talked about it. And I'm probably not holding it straight. And you're probably not actually seeing it all. Well, we'll see. All right, so that's what I've got so far. Now, other things that I'm working on right now. I started a cross stitch out of the Teresa Kogut book from Hello Spring. It started a cross stitch from Hello Spring by Teresa Kogut. I haven't gotten very far, so I won't show that. Other project is I'm working on a stitch that the Hathaway Stitchers have started called Garden of Zig from, I believe it's from Ink Circles, and it's supposed to be a mystery stitch along where nobody can tell other people what fabric they're using or what threads they're using. And so I can't really show it to you yet. It's not going to be finished until the stitch along is going to be finished May 31st. I don't know that I will be, but stitch along is. Well, you're not supposed to show your threads, but I'm going to show one. I already took a picture of it and realized after I put the picture on the Instagram page that we weren't supposed to show our threads. That was kind of dumb. But I am picking threads that mostly I don't know what they are. Like I had a bunch of DMC and like I have just a little bits of it left, and I had lost the little tag that said what number it was. And or like I only had a couple of those. Mostly what it was some threads that I had left over from a couple of kits. These days I don't save that stuff, but for some reason at some point I had saved some of it and I just never threw it away. So I've been using a little bit of that just because I don't know what color it is, but just because I don't know what color it is doesn't mean that I can't use it in something like this where I'm supposed to pick different colors and show everybody at the end. Well, this particular one, I'm showing the color on it just because I thought this was kind of funny. I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. This is from Woolworths. And I believe this Woolworths actually went out of business in 1988. Yeah. So this was this would have been from the Woolworths in Dixon, Illinois. And actually the tag says Woolworth. I always called it Woolworths. And that's funny. Anyhow, I will if I can figure out how, I'll insert a picture here of my Woolworths when I was a kid in Dixon, Illinois. Anyhow, I just thought that's funny. That DMC is like twice as much these days. Actually, it's more than that. So, yeah. Anyhow, using up my stash for my stitching as well. Awesome. All right, well, I can't think of anything else that I needed to cover this week, or wanted to cover this week. And so I hope you all had a good week, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.